Hi, my name is Mark, one of the pastors at Trillium. We've looked a lot lately about how we influence each other, how we shape each other's wants and desires, and how that can easily grow into a rivalry between us because we're both wanting the same thing a lot of the time. And if that rivalry escalates, we get in each other's way. We become obstacles to each other getting what we want. And if that obstacle making grows enough, we become each other's enemy. And once we're enemies, it's only a short step to conflict, violence, and destruction even. Now, one of the antidotes to this whole process of rivalry has been scapegoating. The principle of scapegoating is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If you and I can draw closer to each other, if you and I can find the common enemy that allows us to draw closer to each other, then that allows us to find peace and harmony in life at their expense. Here's one of the problems of scapegoating. There are many problems to it, of course, but here's one big problem of scapegoating. That peace that we get is very short term. Scapegoating has a very short shelf life. And that means we have to keep doing it over and over again. We have to find new scapegoats. We have to find new common enemies that we share in order to maintain the peace between us. Scapegoating is not really a permanent solution to the problem of rivalry between us in life. At the time of Jesus, there was a great rivalry game going on between the Jewish religious authorities and the Roman civil authorities. See, they both wanted to be at the top of the authority structure in Judea at the time. They wanted to be at the top of the society. They both wanted to occupy the same place, which meant they were rivals. And sometimes this actually escalated into conflict and even violence. Every year there was the Passover festival. Hundreds of thousands of people would come from the countryside. Hundreds of thousands of Jewish worshipers would come into the city of Jerusalem to worship at the temple during the Passover feast. And at that very moment, the Romans would move major military formations down from Syria into Judea to keep a lid on it all. It was a tinderbox ready to explode. One Passover, it was a bit different, however. A prophet from the outlands, from Galilee, named Jesus, had come into the city just before Passover. He was a potential rival to the Jewish religious authorities and to the Roman civil authorities. That caused them to draw closer together. They had found their common enemy that would allow them to come together. Jewish and Roman authority had found its common enemy that would allow them to come together in friendship, find peace and harmony in the moment with each other. And so they conspire against Jesus. Together they arrange for his arrest, his conviction, his execution. They scapegoat him in order to find peace between them. Now here's the problem of scapegoating, though. Its shelf life is very short. The peace and harmony they found did not last very long. Once Jesus was dead, his effect was very limited. And it wasn't very long before they were back at the rivalry game with each other. And this escalated over the next few decades into the first Jewish-Roman war that led to the death of hundreds of thousands of people, led to the sacking of the city of Jerusalem, to the destruction of the temple. The historical consequences of that war are still reverberating today, 2,000 years or so later. The early church looked at the crucifixion of Jesus very differently than the world did. See, they understood that it was God on the cross, not just a human being. It was God. And the understanding is that the source of all the rivalry in life between people really rests with the rivalry between God and humanity. That's the story of Adam and Eve, how God was made into a rival and then an obstacle and then the enemy. And now God is on the cross crucified. The enemy of all is on the cross, and that allows us all to draw together as one people. And the cross is also a signal that the rivalry game is over. That God is not our rival. Never has been, never will be, and isn't anymore today. And a new human being with a new perception comes out of the cross that's neither an us or them people. We're no longer obliged to follow the patterns of rivalry that puts everybody into us and them categories. We now find the real antidote to the rivalry game in life, which is love, which diffuses the whole rivalry game completely. It's love, holy love, divine love. It's how we're to live with each other. It's how God lives with us. It's how we're to live with each other. And that means scapegoating is done. We do not need to find social peace and harmony together on the basis of scapegoating other people, of finding the common enemy. We're free now. We're free to love one another. We're free to move into this way of life with each other. And I'll be the first to admit to you that over the last 2,000 years, the whole rivalry game is still manifesting itself out in day in our lives, even on a very personal level. But we don't have to keep doing it anymore. We can turn away from that way of life. We can repent of it, and we can embrace the truth that we are one people from one source, rooted in love, and that we share one identity, and we have ultimately one shared destination together.